Today I have with me a man who's absolutely tapped into the rap game. He does work with Trippie Red, Future, Ray Shremmer, name him. He's done work with them. He's an Assyrian man such as myself. Mush, thank you so much for making the time, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so first and foremost, I just need to tell people, back in the day, we used to go camping as kids together, man. That was when we first met.
My dad used to take us on all types of adventures, bro. And I remember seeing you as a kid. You were just running around having a good time, bro. So I appreciate us just being able to get to where we are today and have this conversation, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. All those years later, I would not expect us to reconnect like this. So first and foremost, I want to know how you got into the music industry, and then I want to go back into your childhood. But first, tell me how you got into the music industry. How did you get your first start?
Yeah, so growing up, you know, my favorite genre of music was rap. So growing up, I loved rap. So that's really what I stepped into, hip hop. I was always a hip hop junkie. You know, I always dibbled and dabbled into other genres as well too, but mostly rap and hip hop. So growing up, really being a hip hop rap fan, you know, it was more natural for me to just dive into that lane.
How old were you, by the way?
I started making music when I was 12 years old. I've always been a fan of rap since I was a kid. My mom never let me listen to rap music. Obviously, growing up in an Assyrian household,
Right.
you know how that goes. So I always had to listen to rap music secretly, and, you know, until I was a little bit old enough to where I found my own space to listen to it without having to disrespect my parents in any way, you know?
So how was it you telling them, like, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to be doing for a living. I know you don't like this genre. I know it's not our people's music, right? It's like a super Middle Eastern mindset. I still get crap for this day for listening to it if it's too loud with my parents.
Right.
So how did you convince your parents or like show them, like, listen, I'm gonna make a living this way. You gotta be cool with it.
Being Assyrian, this is a tough one because obviously your parents want you to go to school. And that I did, you know. I went to school for audio production, you know, but unfortunately I just didn't reach that finish line yet, you know. I went through some hurdles in life that kind of put me at a space back in my life where I didn't get to complete college. So I went to school for audio production because I wanted to take a little bit of a different route. So I thought that going to college for audio production was going to be my way out. My parents were going to, you know, be happy with me doing music, but still wasn't good enough for them. I guess maybe they didn't think it was a real career or what it was. It's a really competitive industry, right? So at the end of the day, they wanted me to stick to something that they know I could get into right after school, right? So doctor, lawyer, stuff like that, you know. So for me personally, I always had a passion for music. Since I was 12 years old, I told my mom I was going to do music.
So you start off at 12 years old, you get into music, little contentiousness with your parents, fell in love with it. When was the first time you worked with someone who was like tapped into the industry and you're like, I belong here, I can do this like for real now?
Fast forward in life, I moved out to Miami every day, hustling, you know, networking, trying to meet someone in the industry.
By yourself you moved out?
Completely by myself, right? So cousins, brother, everyone that I normally grew up with out here on my day-to-day was not with me. Let's just put it that way. I moved out there 2016. And when I was out in AZ, I put a little pause to my music career because I worked a 9-to-5. I was a loan processor. I worked for a mortgage company.
I heard you dabbled in cybersecurity also for a little bit. Is that
true?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did. I was a training manager at a cybersecurity company. But, you know, when I took a pause in AZ on my music, something didn't feel right. Like, no matter how much good money I was making in life, something didn't feel right. When I moved to Miami, I had a job interview set up out there at another mortgage company trying to play it safe, even though I knew I wanted to chase my dreams back again in music because I figured what better city than Miami to do so. I get out there, the same job or job interview that I thought was waiting for me didn't want me to work for them. So it kind of sparked a light bulb in my head that I'm here. I'm already out here. I have to do this. There's no turning back. So basically, I just started going to different recording studios, meeting different producers, trying to meet different artists, locking in with them. Instagram's a huge platform, so.
Who's the first major artist you got connected with and did work for?
First major, Future.
Future was your first major artist.
Crazy experience.
Tell me about
Future. So I actually got a call randomly at night from a really known director in Miami. His name is Skibo. And at the time, I was working with another artist. His name is Zoe Dallas. He was actually signed to Future before. And so, you know, I know him as just being a friend, you know what I'm saying? Pulling up to his music videos, helping him out with little creative direction here and there, but nothing really crazy because, you know, I was just trying to pursue my own career. But I met Skibo because we were at a video set. Zoe's video, I think it was actually. And he was shooting another video with another artist out in Miami named AP Greg. And Skibo was the one shooting the video. And I know Skibo, you know, I've heard of his name in the city. He has a really big video production company called Entro 4K. And I knew these guys had a lot of motion in the city. So I just took it upon myself to introduce myself when we were on set. Just told him, hey, I'm Zoe's friend. Let him know that, you know, I'm really good with creative direction. I actually know how to do treatments, which are, you know, kind of like the blueprint for the music videos.
Okay.
Right? So that's the treatment. That's really what you would need in order to get a budget approved.
So you're kind of like a video director for the music videos, way to think about it?
Creative director.
Creative director, okay.
Correct. So I help come up with the ideas.
Got you.
Right.
Like what kind of scenes are you going to be shooting, like the fast cars, the clubs and all that stuff?
Right.
Got you.
Right.
Okay.
So I just told Skibo, hey, man, I do treatments. You know, if you ever need a treatment, give me a call. At that time in my life, it was such a crazy time because I was in real limbo again. I wasn't working a regular 9-to-5. I was just chasing my dream of music. I didn't know what I wanted to do next, whether I wanted to be an artist or whether I wanted to be a creative director, whether I wanted to be an executive producer. You know, I've been doing music since I was 12. I started off as an artist. So, you know, obviously it's always been my heart to be an artist. But
what year was this, by the way?
Of what?
You got this connection with Future.
So that direct connection came 2021.
Okay.
I want to say.
So about 5 years you were there. And
hustling.
Then you got that break, that first break.
That first break, even talking about it right now, I get goosebumps thinking about it because that was God, 100%. It wasn't my hard work. It wasn't who I met. It was purely God. Because that same day when I woke up, I was super depressed. I was down. In my prayers, I was crying because I didn't know what was next. I didn't know how I was going to elevate. I was just working with a dream, not knowing how I was going to elevate. So I remember praying that morning, like, God, please. Like, I've been doing music so long. I don't know how I'm going to get to the next level, but I need this. Like, if you just give me an opportunity, like, and this is not even the way I pray. This is almost like a prayer of desperation. But I'll never forget, like, just that whole day going through and it's trying to figure it out, going out, networking, whatever. I get home. It's 1 a.m. I'm sitting there on the couch like, oh, I have to wake up again tomorrow and do this all over again. Like, I couldn't just have that magical moment. At 1:30 a.m., I'm about to fall asleep on the couch. I get a phone call from a random Miami number, and it's Skibo. This is 1:30 in the morning. He calls me. He's like, hey, Mush. And I'm like, who is this? And he's like, it's Skibo. He's like, I got your number from Zoe or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, what's up, bro? He's like, hey, I need you to write me a treatment. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you want to write me one? You want to help me with this video? I got a video coming up. It's a big budget. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. He's like, yeah, it's a treatment for Pluto. And he said this other artist's name, like, and so he kept talking about it, right? And, you know, me being, you know, a student of the game, I'm just trying to hear what he has to say, you know, like, what does he need me to do?
Your first major artist you worked with was Future. Who else did you start working with? Can you give me like a mini list of names? Who are you most proud of working with? Who are the connections that you start off early on that got your traction going?
Yeah, so Future, Trippie Red, Famous Dex, Boston Richie, Lil Got It. Man, it's so hard to think of. I've worked with quite a few artists. And then there's a lot of like up and coming artists that like a lot of people you guys are about to hear about that, you know, we work with too. For example, Lil Double O, he signed with Future. He signed to FBG. A lot of people are about to be on the lookout for him. He's from Memphis.
It's no diss on the other artists, but who's your favorite one to work with and why?
I think the one in the artist that I really enjoyed working with on set, the chemistry was really good, was actually Trippie Redd. He takes direction well. He takes direction really well. He's always down for whatever setup as long as it's a cool idea, you know. So I think it was a really cool experience working with Trippie.
Yeah, the reason I asked that is because a lot of times, like, you know, bro, these are guys that have the names, the status. There's a little bit of ego in there. So sometimes guys don't like being told what to do. It's like NBA player being coached, right? Like, but you're the creative director. You got to tell them, like, you got to, like, stand here, look like that, pose them a bit.
Right.
You ever get that contentiousness with some of these guys, or is it always love?
Right. I think in every situation you should feel it out, right? You got to feel it out. So when I'm on set, I try to feel out the scenario. You know, I always try to be me at all times. So show respect. What I would do if I was with my cousins, my brother, if someone comes in the room, we're not going to be antisocial. We're going to introduce ourselves. How you doing? You know, how was your day? Whatever you got going on. And then we're going to get right to business. So, you know, just me approaching it, I guess, as a genuine person, you know, sometimes you just feel that energy, you feel that chemistry. So there wasn't really, I didn't see it. If there is any ego sometimes behind it, I haven't seen it yet. You know, anyone that I had the opportunity to work with came in real selfless, honestly. Yeah. Real selfless. You know, sometimes it looks like that from behind the lens. But when you actually get to know someone, they're still human like me and you at the end of the day, you know? So they may portray an image, but maybe that's just to sell an image or whatever the case may be, you know? Gotcha. But in real life, like when you're actually dealing with that person, some of them are actually really cool. The individuals that I got to work with, God bless, they ended up being really cool.
Nice, man. Good to know that. And so I heard that Lloyd Banks and 50 Cent were some of your first inspirations when you were a little kid, when you started writing. So can you tell me about who were the major inspirations in your life? Is that true? Those guys were the main ones? And then who else inspired you along the journey?
I see you did your research.
Of course.
I see you did your research because,
prepared.
You know, that's like if you know me, you really know. Yeah, so growing up, my favorite rapper, like my Tupac is Lloyd Banks. They call him the Punchline King, the PLK. You know, like to me, he was my favorite rapper growing up. So
the writing aspect started off from listening to those guys. But producing beats, making your own freestyle raps, because 10 years ago, you have a song called, I think, Casino Royale or Space. Sorry, it was called Royal Flush, by the way. I have my mind on James Bond. Yeah.
Royal Flush. You're talking about the one featuring George?
Georgienko, yes, sir.
Yeah.
From 10 years ago. So I know you made that whole entire beat track. Then you guys, I think you freestyled on it?
Right. So growing up with George always wants to create, you know, he always wants to get right to it. So before I even had confidence in myself stepping up on a mic, George would always push me like, hey, bro, I got this studio set up, bro. Like, just jump in there, just rap. You sound really good. Because we used to just freestyle to each other, but I never actually had made a song. I wrote music. I grew up writing music. You know, growing up, I was, you know, like you said, I got my inspiration from Lloyd Banks, 50 Cent. So, you know, my style always geared towards, you know, just writing about my life. I never knew how to make commercial music growing up. You know, I think that's where my transition came into the industry. But growing up, I really only knew how to write about my life. So I would just hog up my brother's computer. We would literally get into fights because my brother was the only one that had a Mac computer. And so I would sneak in his room and use Notepad on there and just listen to beats and just write music all day. Probably had 2,000 songs written, like crazy.
Yeah.
Like I just loved music growing up. That was my getaway. That's my therapy. Like how some people can go talk to people or they could go talk to their mom and dad about certain issues. The only way I felt comfortable was to go write about it and just keep to myself. You know, and, you know, I'm not saying that that's a positive thing because, you know, sometimes bottling your feelings over time, you end up exploding, right? But music is definitely my getaway. So, yeah, so writing aspect, me making that song with George, named that track, I gave George complete creative direction behind that. All he did was lay his part down on the hook. He had an idea, and then he's like, all right, bro, fill in the verse spaces.
And that was back when you were Swoop J. That was back when you were Swoop J.
What's going on here, bro? You did your real research, didn't you?
Come on.
Listen, bro, we can't talk about Swoop J, okay? Because we got to leave him back where he was, okay?
But it's cool that you see the evolution of where you're at now.
No,
you guys start off with that.
Bro. Yeah,
because
sure.
it's dope, man, because George wanted to start off as a singer, and then he got into the music video making, and then he got into the comedy world. So there's an evolution of you there. And then he went back to his roots, where he made The Heart of David, and that's his first merch drop. And then he did his first freestyle, like at a super high level professional studio. Then you got you, where you started off as the one name that shall not be named, and now you're this guy that we have now, and you're working with all of these prominent members of the rap industry in Miami. You're out there also. So, you know, you guys started off at this level 10 years ago, and now you're here.
It's funny enough that you say that. Me and my brother grew up with George since we were like 8 years old. So, man, I don't even know if I should be talking about this right now. This is some real storytelling. You're like really getting the gold right now. But when we were kids, me, George, and my brother used to have a little band. Yeah, we used to you don't understand, man. We were like, we've been creative since we were young. Like we knew we wanted to do this since we were like 8 years old, 7 years old. Like I remember being like 10 years old, literally 11 years old, telling George, bro, you're going to be famous one day. Like he just always had it in him. So we had a little boy band. I wouldn't even really call it a boy band, but it's like, you know, we just try to sing like on some like R&B group type, you know what I'm saying? Like we try to have our little group, but we were kids, you know? Yeah. So growing up, it was only right. Fast forward, you know, George has always been making music. That's actually really how George got started in all this, you know? He was making music before he even got into any of the videos. So, you know, to see him have so many talents and be successful at all of them is a blessing. When we talk about Royal Flush and Swoop J, we're talking about a person that was just young, risky, willing to say anything on a song, rapping, cursing my mind out. But we came a long way, and we had a great time making that song. And, you know, we never got to make more music after that. But I'm looking forward to making more music when me and him get the chance, for sure.
I'd love to see that collab.
We're going to have to keep it in the family, for sure. We're definitely not going to put it out, though.
Oh, okay. You're not going to release it?
No.
We'll at least play it for me, bro.
No, cool. You know that. You know that.
Cool. So I want to go back to your roots. Like we talked about in the beginning, you're Assyrian, such as myself, both Assyrian men. And so you know how it is, man. We grow up in the church. God is very strong in the center belief of everything. Because we don't have a country, so we all cling to church, the one unifying factor with the Assyrians, right? So, but like you have Assyrians who, if they go into the rap industry, when they try to modernize, music industry, and they try to modernize the music industry, you got like J.E. Show, and you got Faya Yonan, and they're like singing traditional Arabic music, or J.E. Shoes doing mashup songs. You don't really have anyone in the rap industry besides yourself. So I know we touched upon it just a bit, but how much of a challenge was it when you say you're an Assyrian in the church, now you're going to be going into the rap industry? Did you get sideways looks in the community? I know you said that your parents weren't loving it, but, you know, they've come around to it a bit right now. Sure. So how was that? How did you go in with that mindset? Like, people are going to be talking, or did you not care about any of that?
Me personally, I never cared. You know, I told my mom when I was 12 years old I was going to do music. This is the way I want to feed my family. So you got to have a different level of resilience beyond belief. It's going to come with people saying stuff. But at the end of the day, I have to mold my own future. I have to mold my own way. I have to create a legacy for myself, for my loved ones. When other people are talking, that doesn't do anything for my legacy. So if they're saying that, that's an opinion. And I'll always respect others' opinions, but I also got to always continue on to my own path, for sure, because everyone has their own journey. You know, we come from a real traditional culture. I wanted to be able to show individuals like ourselves sitting here today that it's okay to chase your dreams in such a traditional culture that we come from. I want to be one of the ones to break through and show that you can do it, that you can chase your dreams in any facet that you want to do, whether it's music, whether you want to be doesn't matter, podcast, whether you want to be an actor, do it, try. Consistency. All it takes is a level of consistency and faith. You have to keep God first. I couldn't have been here without God. And I'm still, honestly, like, I don't even want to sit here and dwell like I'm even anywhere yet. Yes, I thank God for the opportunities that I have and had, but I'm still working. I'm still going up. This is just yet the beginning. If anything, I'm just at the tip of it. I haven't even crossed the mark yet. And when that mark happens, it's going to be big. But I'll leave it up to God on what that looks like.
Okay, so let's stay on the topic of God then. So I'm going to give you some things that are considered corny in the rap game. So like Christian rap, for example, right? There's not really a huge fan base of Christian rap. I mean, it's starting to get more popular as time goes on. You have Lecrae, Andy Mineo, these types of guys coming up. But the majority of time, Christian rap's looked at as like, oh, come on, bro, turn that stuff off. What is your opinion on Christian rap, being a Christian yourself, being part of the church, being a believer? And then let's answer that part first, and then I'll go into the second part.
Okay. So I love Christian rap. I mean, if you ask me, the two people that you named, Lecrae and Andy Mineo, I listened to Lecrae since he had, I think it was called Trunk Music. It was his very first single that literally blew him up as a Christian rapper. That song, I remember my mom, I remember being a kid, and I was listening to Bone Thugs and Harmony. I was a kid, and I had this song playing loud in my room. I had the door closed. My mom comes in yelling at me like, turn this off. You're not going to listen to me in my house. So I'm sitting there like, but man, I got to listen to some rap. That's the only type of music I like. So I just looked up some Christian rap, and I stumbled across Lecrae. And I remember the first line of the song. All it was, riding with my top down, listening to this Jesus music. When I heard that, and it sounded, and when and it sounded like some rap, like some regular rap, I'm like, oh, okay, I could listen to this. And I had some like 2 speakers with a subwoofer in my room, and I was just bumping that loud because I was like, now what you gonna say to me, Mom? This is Christian music.
There's no cursing.
You know what I'm saying? And so growing up, I kind of always kept rap around. And so Christian music, in fact, not just Christian rap, I listen to gospel. I listen to Christian music, period. I don't just listen to elevation worship. I listen to elevation worship. Brandon Lakes, I think, is another Christian artist. He's fire. Like, I'm really in tune with my creator. That's my getaway. That's how I'm able to function every day. So it's cool listening to rap, and it's cool being a part of this, but sometimes you just need to get away, and you just need what's good for your soul.
Right, because that's work for you too now. So you have to, even though you love it so much, you also got to get away from work sometimes, right?
Nah, not even. Nah, this is my dream. This is how I'm gonna feed my family for the rest of my life. Gotcha. So it's not work when you're in love with something. Like how I'm in love with God, how I'm in love with my girl. Bro, that's how I'm in love with music. I treat this like my girl. Bro, you gotta understand, like, it's when you love something like that, you're never tired of it. You just figure out how you make it work, and that's it. When I go home, I never went home from work. Till this day, since I've been in the music industry, since I've been able to quit my 9-to-5, working at a cybersecurity company, there's never a day I came and told my girl, oh, I came home from work. I'm tired from work. Yeah, I've been tired from being up at 5 a.m. shooting videos. But I wake up and do it all over again the next day because I love it that much. It's not work. I can't call it that. Work was when I punched in at a 9-to-5 and I got a 1-hour lunch break. And then I clocked right back in. And then I got off at 6. That was work. But to call this work would be selfish of what God provided me. Because this was what I dreamed of since I was a little kid. I'm telling you, everything that I'm happening to me right now and is going to happen, I'm telling you, I've seen it for myself since I was a kid. I just knew it.
I love that, man. Let's stay on the topic of religion real quick.
Okay, let's do it.
So, do you have moral conflictions with what you believe in the church and what's promoted in modern day rap?
Absolutely. I mean, naturally, you're going to when you grew up in a household of faith, when you grew up in Christianity. There's things I don't do. There's jobs I don't take because of my faith.
You've turned down jobs from people that are offering you big gigs, and you're like, I can't do this because I'm a Christian?
Absolutely. Like, for example, I won't shoot at a strip club. I won't shoot at a strip club. Not only because I'm a Christian, but for the respect of I'm in a relationship. There's two things I'm honoring: God and my woman that God provided me. See what I'm saying?
You ever get problems for not doing stuff
Absolutely,
like that?
all the time. I get pressed all the time, pressured all the time. No, but bro, we're just doing this. But bro, it's quick. This is just a job, bro. You're just doing work, bro. But then you got to fall back and think about it. It almost like selling your soul. You gonna really compromise what you believe in for that little moment? For that little couple $1,000s? That gonna go away anyways. You're gonna pay bills. Everybody got bills, right? So, I mean, what's that money there for?
Wow, that's respect, man, because I could see how someone in your position would be sitting there and being like, man, these guys are watching me. Like, they could say something bad about me to future gigs, or, you know, not want to reference my name in the future because of that. But you stick true to your guns. That's mad respect to you.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not a perfect person, bro. Like, I've had my mistakes in the past, but, you know, really, me being in a strong relationship and having a strong partner really helped me balance out. So, like, for example, if I ever get caught up in those moments where I feel like, man, maybe I should compromise this moment, you know, I got a partner that's there. I got my girl that's there to, like, really lift me up and really be like, well, this is really who you are as a person. I don't think you should really take these steps.
Gotcha.
That's not who you are. So it's like, in everything in life, you have to have guidance, you know, because sometimes when we pray, we want to take upon action upon ourselves, but sometimes you got to have someone that's going to hold you accountable for things.
So besides your girl, was there anyone in the industry that was like a mentor to you, that was teaching the ropes of the game, or was everything trial and error and you figured it out on your own?
You know, I was looking for a mentor. Unfortunately, I grew up with trust issues, so I couldn't trust someone with my career. I got a lot of disappointment growing up, so unfortunately, I never had a mentor. You know, whether I didn't allow one in my life or just one never stumbled across, I really had to figure out everything on my own, like trial and error.
Got you.
Yeah, so, but it's really cool because now I'm someone else's mentor. You know, now I get to help someone else and be someone else's mentor and really try to help give other people direction, one that I couldn't get myself, that I had to figure out.
Love it, man. And so I want to go back into the impact that rap music has, kind of like how we were talking about Christian rap. So obviously when I'm in the gym, I love rap. I listen to Don Toliver, J. Cole, Dave East, anything that gets me, old school Eminem, anything that gets me going, man. I love it. 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks. But I understand the lyrics are a bit hypocritical of a way that a Christian is supposed to live their life, right? Like you said, you're not a perfect Christian. Neither am I. I'm not going to pretend that I don't curse. I don't think about some of these extreme things that like rappers say, like you put yourself in those environments, you think you're cool. It really gets you going in the gym.
Right.
But do you think rap is a harm to society with that in mind?
I look at anything like a tool. It's how you use it. Rap nowadays, and what's to be glorified, is now being used as a weapon to kill one another. Because in some communities, as Chicago, Detroit, Memphis, so much more, LA, you diss someone that really comes from a lifestyle like that, you're liable to get killed. Anything could happen to you. Nowadays, people aren't fighting anymore. People are really killing people. People are really shooting people. So I think that's part of what's brought harm to the society, for sure. I mean, before rap was about who had the best lines, who had the best bars. Nowadays, it's almost like almost like you got to be the biggest killer or like the biggest gangster nowadays in order to make it.
And do you see a problem when like a little kid is listening to it and they're thinking that this is okay to say or act like and like be a wannabe basically?
I think it all depends on the environment that they come from, because for an individual that comes from maybe a real suburban area, that could influence him to do other things that's not a part of his day to day. But for some of these kids that actually grow up in these hoods, in the trenches, it's normal because this is what they see around them. This is their everyday life.
Yeah.
So it almost plays a role into their life where it almost becomes normal. What me and you think is crazy on the outside looking in is normal to some others. And honestly, moving to Miami really opened my eyes about that more. I'm originally from Chicago. You know, that's where I was born, a little bit, raised a little bit of my life, and then moved out here to Arizona. But even going back to Chicago, grown, young, like still having friends out there, still having family out there, just knowing the murder rate, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of it is due to all what's going on in rap. There's like how you use a gun. A gun could be bad if you use it improperly. Music, a microphone, could be bad depending on what you're saying in it. So how are you utilizing your music? You got artists like Rod Wave telling a story. I don't hear Rod Wave talking about killing anyone, stuff like that. He's talking about pain in his life. And he's pulling in crowds like Future and Drake would pull in, selling out arenas. Rappers can't sell out arenas nowadays, man. So it's all about how you're utilizing your tool. What are you using it for? Nowadays, what's glorified is the killing, is the stuff. Kids are now being influenced in it. This is the generation we live in. Because of social media, because of how much we have access to, this is what happened. This ended up influencing the entire world to the point where nowadays, you want the name, you have to be the guy, the killer, the stand-up guy, the big boss, the tough guy. Those people only end up dead or in jail.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too because some of my favorite rappers like Young Dolph, you know, these other guys, can't think of them on top of my head right now, but you know, they died for no reason. They died because they went back to their hometown and then somebody who got jealous or didn't like what they were saying killed them, and then that takes an artist away from the world. But you know, I think you're onto something when you say that there's something that it comes up with your upbringing. Like, we think that's crazy, like how you said, because we're taught don't kill, don't sin, don't do these things. But then, you know, there's something, I don't know if you heard about this, there's something called the Gilbert Goons. This is new gang in Gilbert, Arizona, which is like the whitest neighborhood in AZ. And so these guys are running around and curb stomping, killing kids. They're a high school gang and they've committed murders. And so, like, you're in the whitest, safest neighborhood in America. Gilbert was voted one of the safest places to live in the United States of America, right here. And yet you still have these people who are wannabes committing these crimes, probably because they saw a music video from there or they saw a rapper, how they were living their life like that. They're flashing on social media. But you're onto something. It's also the way you were brought up. Those people probably never talked to their kids, or their parents never talked to their kids. They're never in their ear like my dad was in my ear. Their parents probably like were just some rich people, didn't care about their kids, how they ended up, because they're too busy making deals or whatever, chasing the hustle, and they let their kids run around and do whatever. And then this is what ends up. There's no parenting in the household. So I do agree with you on that. Sounds like they need some Christian rap in their life more so than anything else. But I want to ask you something. When you first started out, let's say I want to get into the rap industry today. Not really, but like let's say I have nothing going for me, but I love music and I really want to get into the rap industry specifically. What's the first thing you're going to give me advice on?
For the rap industry, if you want to end up in the rap industry, well, first I would have to ask, what do you want to do? Because it all depends. There's different directions. I've been blessed to have many different directions, wear different hats in the industry. So first you got to decide what you want to do and what route you want to take. You want to be an artist? So does the rest of the world. What's going to make you different? Why? What's your why? Have you found your why? That's the first thing I ask artists. Why? Why are you doing this?
What if they tell you, I want to make money, drive the cool cars, and live in these rich neighborhoods?
It's cool. It'll only last for so long because there's no substance behind it. You got to understand, like, there's a difference between people that just want to rap and there's artists. Mm-hmm. I work with artists. I don't work with people that are considered just rappers. They may be rappers because they're in the rap industry, but they're artists because they dibble and dabble into other genres and they're making other types of music. You know, rap has changed so much. It went from rapping straight bars and aggressive to more harmonic, to more harmonies now, to more auto-tune, right? So if you really think about it, that's singing. Because think about it, you can't just get on auto-tune and just sound good. It doesn't work like that. You at least have to know how to carry a pitch, carry a tone. So to get into the rap industry, okay. I mean, there's ways to fake it to make it, or there's ways to keep it genuine about yourself. First advice I would give someone try to get into rap industry would be stay consistent. Because rap is changing so much from the sound to the style of rap that if you're not adapting, you're going to get lost in the sauce. There's someone else better than you right now working 10 times harder than you trying to get there. Why should you be the one? Everyone makes dope music. Nowadays, it's not even about the music. Nowadays, they want you to come in package ready. Big social media, have a fan base, ready to go. But what's going to separate you and why and how are you going to make your mark in an industry that's not only changing so much, but also there's other innovators thinking of that next best thing. What makes you different?
You mentioned something actually really interesting prior to that. You said that rappers aren't selling out arenas anymore. There's an A-list celebrity list, right? But it's not like the way it used to be like 2014 where it was like Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole, like those were on the forefronts of everybody's mind. 2014, Forest Hill Drive, that era of music. Kanye. But now it's kind of like, okay, everyone has a big name now, and they just kind of make music whenever, and then that's it. But, like, do you think they can't sell out arenas? Do you think there's A-list rappers out there still? Is that still a thing? Or is it just big names now in general because social media is blowing everything up?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think there still are some A-list rappers, right? Because how would you feel right now if Drake just walked in this room?
It would be amazing. But is he an A-list rapper because he's still on top of his game? Or is he an A-list rapper because he's got the name?
Well, I think what we would have to sit here and talk about is what makes a rapper an A-list rapper, right? And so if we're thinking about credentials, who they are, longevity, you would think Drake, Future.
So give me some characteristics of those guys. What makes them so great? You working with them, you've seen them up close. What is like something that you notice like they got it?
I'll never forget when I first got on set for that Future music video that we were shooting. I've seen a few rappers before. I remember even seeing Kendrick before he even blew up. Like, I've never been starstruck when it comes to rappers for some reason. When Future walked in the room, I felt it. Like you could just tell he's a star, like from everything, from the way he walked in to the way he carried himself to the whole energy of the room. You just felt it. Not only that, when you have all these platinum records, right? And you sell out all these different tours, you have a huge fan base, right? And you're able to have longevity in this game. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. We've had a lot of rappers come and go.
Oh, millions.
Right? And so we still talk about the ones that we talk about to this day. The Drakes, the Futures, the 50 Cents. You know, I ask myself all the time, like, man, are we ever gonna have like another Drake or like another Future, like in the industry, like because we get disposed so much music at once. There's always a new artist. Right. There's always someone coming out.
That's what I mean. Like all these people coming out, no one's rising to the top.
Right. And it's so hard because either people are so used to a sound that they still want it, so they chase it because you're such a fan. Yeah. And you're not willing to accept what's new. Because think about it, you grow with the music that you grew up listening to, right? Yeah. And sometimes it's hard for certain people to adapt with newer times, newer sounds.
But you could have the same sound, like a 50 Cent. You can have the same sound, but adapt. But like, I mean, maybe in the future this is gonna ruin my opportunities getting these guys on my show. But I'm gonna say it. I hope it doesn't ruin opportunities for you. This is on me. I'm saying this. But like, you have Gunner and Lil Baby that they sound the same every single song, bro. It's like you hear one song, you heard a million. So that's why I feel like they kind of fell off. No one really listens to them anymore. That's my opinion. But it's like you sound the same in every song. You're not adapting. You're not getting with the times. You're not implementing new styles, I mean, like, it's so complicated to stay relevant nowadays. That's why, like, you see guys like Drake. It's hard to stay relevant. It's hard to stay at the top. And he's still doing it. But then you got J. Cole. He goes ghost for 2 years at a time, 3 years at a time. And he's still relevant every time he comes back. So, like, there's like a legend around some of these people, you know?
Right. Nah. First and foremost, let me go ahead and say, free Young Thug. Jeff didn't do it. Second of all, I could definitely see why you would say that. In my shoes, right? As an artist, as a writer, as a producer, as an engineer, I hear the difference in them. You know, I could definitely understand the difference in them. For sure. From their cadences. I'm pretty sure the two artists that you named, one of the guys taught the other how to rap, is what I actually heard in the interview.
Makes sense.
So I can understand why you would say that for the comparison, but I do also understand what you mean by saying that music has been sounding the same recently. It's funny enough that you said that. I know we're on the topic of rap a lot, but you know, growing up, I always knew that rap wasn't going to be the bread and butter, to be honest with you. I always wanted to go commercial. I wanted to go pop. I always said I wanted to go pop. I always wanted to go commercial. The type of rap that I grew up listening to, or that we grew up listening to, isn't what it sounds like till this day. Nowadays, like I said, it's more auto-tune, more cadences. So growing up, when I was making music, I really feel like I was really one of the only ones that said, hey, I'm not going to rap. I'm going to try this whole melodic thing out and really try to like do more commercial style music. So gearing towards the industry, you know, I definitely, you know, I enjoy working with different rappers and whatnot. But for example, let's talk about Trippie Redd. Mm-hmm. If you heard his last album, it's like love songs. He's like singing the entire ones. He's really more harmonic than anything.
I feel like all his songs are love songs, bro. In high school, I had to stop listening to him because I was like, this guy's making me depressed.
But here's the deal. Like, but
I rock with Trippie.
That's the art in it, though. Like that's the way he's expressing himself. Like, he's giving, like, what people don't understand is, like, see, people are judging them as music and songs. And I know that's how, as artists, we're giving it to the world. But that's that man's feelings. That's that man's emotions. When that man has to harmonize, just laying that vocal down, it comes with something. It comes with pain. It comes with a moment of his life that he went through. But in my shoes, someone that's doing it every day, there's a huge difference there.
Oh, for sure. It's like me watching NBA and being like, oh, yeah, you only scored 10 points. Now you suck. It's like, bro, you put me on the court. Good luck making one free throw. Right. It's the same thing. Like, I understand what you're saying. But as a fan, right, the person who's a casual, who knows nothing about the behind the scenes, who doesn't care about the behind the scenes, I love the behind the scenes. Right. That's my favorite part. I want to know how you shot that angle, what camera you used. Right. Because I want to make my stuff better, so I want to learn from you, right? So I love that because I'm in it. But a person who's not in it, they're just consumers. They don't care about any of that. Yeah.
And we're in such a consumer-based environment, bro, going back to what you said, that when you don't give enough,
they'll drop you.
Right. And not only that, not just they'll drop you. It's funny enough you say this, but Trippie can drop an album, or whoever, Future can drop an album tomorrow. They're gonna want another one the next day.
Didn't he do that? Didn't he drop one and then he dropped Hendrix like a week later or something like that?
You know, they call Pluto the Wizard.
Who are you the closest with in the industry right now?
I'm not there yet, bro. I'm not there yet. Like I'm close with. See, my journey is so far ahead of me. I'm trying to be the next DJ Khaled, bro. In all respects, why I respect DJ Khaled so much. I actually kind of, you know what's crazy? I kind of look up to Khaled. Because he's Middle Eastern.
I was gonna say, but you're gonna be the first one who reaches his level that actually can speak his native language.
You know that
instead of the fake Arabic he talks.
Yo, bro.
I'll get myself in trouble.
No, bro, you good. No, bro. Shouts out to Khaled, bro. No, but
learn how to say baklawa, bro.
Yeah,
that's all you gotta learn how to say. All right.
Moving to Miami, and I could see how growing up in Miami and moving to Miami is completely different. Like, I could see how Khaled kind of lost his touch, but that's Khaled at the end of the day. He turned something like a dream into an empire. This man was a DJ at a radio station. I need you to understand that. DJ at a radio station. And now he's one of the biggest executive producers in the game.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And like, he's an inspiration to me because as a Middle Eastern in the industry, and to see his personality, I feel like our personality is the same. Like, you know, like anyone that knows me knows like I'm an outgoing jokester. I'm like, I pick on people like in a good way. Like if I love you, like I'm gonna pick on you in a good way. Like I crack jokes, like we mess around with each other. And like to see Khaled be larger than life in an industry where it's so judging.
So you, as a Middle Eastern, or are you saying just in general?
I mean, for sure. As a Middle Eastern, for sure. Because you got to understand. Think about it. Khaled's not African American. He's not Hispanic.
So they don't take him as serious as the other guys.
Well, no, of course they take him serious, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like when you're the minority in the industry, what do you think is gonna happen? He changed up his whole persona. I know he first came out, you know, saying the N-word and stuff like that, but if you see Khaled now, he's cleaned up his whole image. I don't think Rock Nation would have even gave him a deal.
I actually heard some rumors that you're related to some Assyrian legends.
You know that.
Who?
So, my auntie is Marlon Khoshaba.
Okay.
That's my mom's sister.
She actually helped me dress up as a king one year for the Assyrian festival. So I'll throw that picture up. Just
this is where I get all my music from. You know, this is where I get my background from. So it was only meant to be. And then their first cousin is Linda George, which is my second cousin. Yeah. So music's just in the bloodline for me.
Dope, man.
You know that.
Well, so just to wrap things up a bit, what are you doing next? Where can people find you? Give your social media at, and let me know what are some projects that you got wrapping up. Yeah,
so pretty much what I got going next is I'm actually going to be launching my management company. I'm going to be managing some producers and some artists coming up. I'm going to be flying around, you know, making sure that I got some artists on the roster, that I got some producers on the roster. And yeah, man, that's just the next journey from here. I'm going to be trying to step away from the production side of things and really get into music management more from there, more into executive production. So I'm really looking forward to that. And for anyone, if you want to add me on the gram, or if you're trying to look for me on Instagram, my Instagram is Mush Musics, and that's MUSH MUSIX.
Cool, appreciate you, bro. Thank you.